Yo, young kings, let me hit you with something that's going to sound absolutely wild at first. What if I told you that the thing your parents, teachers, and literally everyone has been telling you to be your whole life is actually the exact thing that's quietly destroying your potential? No cap, I'm dead serious right now. But wait a minute. Before we dive in deep into this topic, do us a mighty favor and subscribe to our channel. Help us grow this community of young kings who are ready to put in the work and becoming great men that the world would admire greatly. Also, like and share this video with your peeps. Now let's talk. You've been told to be nice, to be kind, to put others first, to never ruffle feathers, to always say yes, to make everyone comfortable. And you probably thought, yeah, that's what good people do, right? But here's the plot twist nobody prepared you for. Being a nice guy and being a genuinely good person, those are two completely different things. And young kings, the difference between these two will literally determine whether you build an empire or spend your entire life wondering why the world keeps stepping on you. So buckle up, because what I'm about to share with you is the kind of knowledge that separates boys who chase approval from men who command respect. This isn't about becoming some toxic, cold-hearted villain. This is about understanding why you feel stuck, why people take advantage of you, and why that girl you've been nice to for 6 months suddenly started dating the dude who barely texts her back. Let's get into it. Who is the nice guy? First things first, let's define who we're actually talking about here. When I say nice guy, I'm not talking about someone who's genuinely kind, compassionate, and thoughtful. Those qualities, they're powerful, they're masculine, they're real. I'm talking about the guy who operates from a place of fear. The guy who says yes when he wants to say no. The guy who hides his true opinions because he's terrified someone might not like him. The guy who does favors expecting something in return, but never actually communicates what he wants. The guy who's so desperate for approval that he'll twist himself into a pretzel just to avoid conflict or rejection. Dr. Robert Glover, who literally wrote the book on this called No More Mr. Nice Guy, describes nice guys as men who seek approval from others, avoid conflict, repress their feelings and needs, and often use covert contracts to get what they want. Basically, young kings, it's about being so afraid of rejection that you fake your entire personality. And here's what's really messed up about it. Society has programmed you to think this is what being a good man looks like. Your whole life you've been getting gold stars for being compliant, for not making waves, for putting everyone else's needs before your own. But nobody told you that this same pattern would make you invisible, resentful, and completely disconnected from who you actually are. Young kings, listen to me carefully. The patterns you're building right now, at 15, 17, 19, 21 years old, these aren't just temporary habits. These are literally programming the operating system for your entire adult life. Getting this knowledge early, that's like finding a cheat code before everyone else even knows the game has glitches. Because while your homies are out here people-pleasing their way into mediocrity, you'll understand something powerful. Your value doesn't come from how much other people approve of you. Your value comes from how aligned you are with your own truth, your own standards, and your own vision. Think about it like this. Every single day you spend trying to be liked by everyone is a day you're not spending becoming excellent at something that actually matters. It's a day you're not building real confidence. It's a day you're not discovering your actual personality underneath all those masks you've been wearing. And the thing about chasing the world's acceptance? The world is fickle, young kings. The world doesn't know what it wants. Today they love you, tomorrow they forget you exist. Building your entire identity on that foundation is like building a mansion on quicksand. Eventually, it all comes crashing down. Throughout history, the men who changed the world, who built empires, who left legacies, they weren't worried about being liked. Abraham Lincoln was hated by half the country. Steve Jobs was called difficult and demanding. Muhammad Ali was controversial as hell. But they knew who they were, they stood on their principles, and they didn't apologize for taking up space in this world. Let me tell you about Michael Thompson from Columbus, Ohio. This is a real composite of so many men I've seen, and it's heartbreaking every single time.
Michael grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in the early 90s as an only child. His parents were going through a rough patch, constantly fighting, and young Michael figured out real quick that when he was good, when he didn't cause problems, when he made everyone happy, things were calmer at home. He became the peacekeeper, the harmonizer, the kid who never asked for anything because asking felt selfish. By middle school, this had become his entire personality. He was the friend who always had everyone else's back, but never asked anyone to have his. He was the kid who'd do your homework if you asked nicely. He'd laugh at jokes that weren't funny. He'd agree with opinions he didn't hold. And everyone loved him for it, so he thought, this must be working. High school came around and Michael was everyone's friend, but nobody's best friend. Girls told him he was such a sweet guy right before telling him about the dude they actually liked. He'd sit in his room wondering why being good wasn't enough. But instead of recognizing the pattern, he doubled down. He thought, I just need to be nicer. I just need to do more. College was more of the same. He chose a major his parents wanted. He stayed in relationships where he was clearly the backup option. He took jobs he hated because saying no felt impossible. He let money he couldn't afford to lose. He said yes to every favor, every request, every demand on his time. Fast forward to his mid-40s. Michael is working a middle management job he despises, in a marriage that feels more like a business arrangement than a partnership, with kids who respect him less than they respect their teachers. He looks in the mirror and doesn't even recognize himself anymore because he never actually took the time to figure out who he was underneath all that people-pleasing. The breaking point came when he got passed over for a promotion he was promised for the third time, because his boss knew Michael would never actually push back or leave. Then his wife admitted she'd lost attraction to him years ago because he never stood for anything. His teenage son told him during an argument that he was weak. Michael had spent 40-plus years being nice, and it had cost him everything that actually mattered: his self-respect, his dreams, his authentic relationships, his time, and his identity. The saddest part? Michael did everything he thought he was supposed to do. He followed the script. He was the good guy. But nobody told him that being agreeable and being respectable are not the same thing.
Young kings, here's the harsh reality. If you don't learn this now, you'll learn it the hard way at 35 or 45 or on your deathbed. And by then, you've lost decades to a pattern that never served you. The teenage years and early 20s are literally when you're forming your identity. This is when your brain is figuring out, who am I? What do I stand for? What do I value? If you spend this crucial period performing for others, you'll wake up at 30 and realize you have no idea who you actually are. I see it all the time. Young men who are so busy trying to fit in that they never stand out. Dudes who are so afraid of rejection that they never actually shoot their shot. Brothers who are so worried about offending someone that they never share their real opinions, their real creativity, their real genius. And here's what makes it even more destructive. Nice guy syndrome doesn't just hurt you. It hurts the people around you because you're not actually being genuine with them. You're performing. You're manipulating, even if you don't realize it. Every time you do something nice while secretly expecting something in return, that's manipulation. Every time you hide your real feelings and then resent someone for not reading your mind, that's not kindness. That's cowardice, dressed up as virtue. Dr. Harriet Breaker said, striving for excellence motivates you. Striving for perfection is demoralizing. But I'd add to that, striving for universal approval is literally impossible and will drain every ounce of life from your soul. What the experts say. Let's bring in some heavyweight knowledge because this isn't just my opinion. This is backed by people who've spent their lives studying human behavior and masculinity. Robert Glover, in No More Mr. Nice Guy, writes, nice guys believe that if they are good, giving, and caring, they, in return, will be happy, loved, and fulfilled. This never works. He goes on to explain that nice guys operate from what he calls covert contracts, these unspoken deals where you do something nice, expecting something in return, but you never actually communicate that expectation. Then you get bitter when the other person doesn't hold up their end of a contract they never agreed to. David Deida, author of The Way of the Superior Man, talks about how men who seek approval are actually pushing away the very things they want. The most attractive aspect of a man's energy is his purposeful direction in life,
his unshakable presence, and his willingness to take risks despite fear. A nice guy has none of these qualities because he's too busy managing everyone else's emotions. Mark Manson, in Models, Attract Women Through Honesty, puts it bluntly: neediness is when we place a higher priority on others' perceptions of us than on our perception of ourselves. Non-neediness is when we place a higher priority on our perception of ourselves than on others' perceptions of us. Being a nice guy is the definition of neediness. And here's a powerful quote from Brené Brown, who studies vulnerability and courage. Fitting in is about assessing a situation and becoming who you need to be accepted. Belonging, on the other hand, doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. Young kings, you don't want to fit in, you want to belong. And you can only belong when you're willing to show up as your actual self, not some watered-down version designed to make everyone comfortable. Kindly remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Help us reach more young people that need to hear this. And also share this video with your friends and family.
How society sets the trap. So why does this happen? Why are so many young men falling into this trap? Because society has confused niceness with goodness and compliance with maturity. From the moment you walked into kindergarten, you've been rewarded for sitting still, being quiet, following directions, and not causing problems. The boys who had energy, they got diagnosed. The boys who questioned authority, they got punished. The boys who stood out, they got shamed back into line. Then you hit your teenage years and suddenly everyone's telling you that to get the girl, you need to be respectful and patient and understanding, which somehow gets translated into never show your interest clearly, never state your intentions, and wait around hoping she figures out you like her. Meanwhile, the dudes who are direct, confident, and unafraid of rejection, they're the ones actually in relationships. Society also teaches you that your value as a man comes from what you provide for others. Your worth is measured by how useful you are, how much you sacrifice, how little you ask for. And while there's nobility in being of service, there's nothing noble about erasing yourself in the process. Social media made it even worse. Now you're not just trying to be liked by the people in your actual life, you're performing for an audience of thousands. Every post is calculated. Every story is curated. You're trying to craft this image of the perfect, unproblematic, likable guy, while your real self is suffocating underneath all that performance. And young kings, let me tell you something that might sting. Women aren't attracted to nice guys. Not because women like being treated badly, that's toxic nonsense. But because nice guys don't stand for anything. There's no mystery, no challenge, no depth. You've made yourself so agreeable that there's nothing interesting left to discover. You're an open book with all the pages blank. Respect is built on boundaries. Attraction is built on authenticity. Neither can exist when you're too afraid to risk someone not liking you. For young men today, this pattern is creating a full-blown crisis. I see brothers in their 20s who are depressed, anxious, lost, and feeling like failures, and when you dig deeper, it's because they've spent their entire lives performing instead of becoming. You've got young dudes who can't choose a career path because they're too worried about disappointing their parents. You've got brothers who stay in toxic friendships because they're afraid of being alone. You've got young men who watch their dreams die because pursuing them might make someone uncomfortable. The mental health statistics for young men right now are brutal. Higher rates of depression, anxiety, suicide, and feelings of purposelessness than ever before. And while there are many factors, one huge piece is this. When you disconnect from your authentic self, your soul literally starts dying. You end up with what I call nice guy depression, this quiet, suffocating feeling that your life isn't yours, that you're living someone else's script, that you're invisible, that nothing you do actually matters because you're not even sure what you want anymore. Let me paint you a picture you might recognize from your own life. Every neighbor who has a guy like this. Let's call him Uncle Marcus.
Uncle Marcus is that dude who's 50-something, lives alone, works a job way below his intelligence level, and everyone describes him as the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He'll help you move. He'll lend you money. He'll fix your car. He's at every community event, always volunteering, always available. But here's what most people don't see. Uncle Marcus is deeply unhappy. He had dreams once, wanted to start his own business, had a passion for music, but every time he got close to pursuing something for himself, someone needed something. His mom needed help. His friend needed a loan. His girlfriend, who was clearly using him, needed support. And Marcus, being nice, always put his stuff on hold. Now, decades later, he's the go-to guy for everyone else's problems, but his own life is empty. No wife, no kids, no empire he built, no legacy he's leaving, just a lot of people who know they can call him when they need something. And the heartbreaking part? People don't even respect him. They appreciate the favors, but they don't respect him. Because deep down, everyone knows that a man who doesn't value his own time, dreams, and energy enough to protect them doesn't actually value himself. Uncle Marcus is a warning sign, young kings. He's what happens when you spend your whole life being nice instead of being intentional. So what do you do with all this? How do you break the pattern? First, understand this. Learning to set boundaries, to say no, to prioritize yourself, to stand up for what you believe in, none of that makes you a bad person. It makes you a mature person. It makes you someone who knows their worth. Start small. Practice saying no to things you don't actually want to do. Notice when you're about to agree to something out of fear rather than genuine desire, and pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid of what happens if I don't? Get comfortable with disappointing people. Real talk, young kings, if someone only likes you when you're useful to them, they don't actually like you. They like what you do for them. And those aren't the relationships worth keeping anyway. Build yourself. Pour time into your skills, your knowledge, your craft, your body, your mind. Read books, lift weights, learn a skill, build something. Because when you're focused on becoming excellent at something, you stop caring so much about being liked by everyone. Your mission becomes bigger than your need for approval. Speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when people disagree, even when it costs you something. Because every time you swallow your real thoughts and feelings to keep the peace, you're teaching yourself that your truth doesn't matter. Find your tribe, not people who like the mask you wear, but people who vibe with your actual personality. Quality over quantity. Always. Better to have 3 real ones who know you than 300 acquaintances who know your performance. Read No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. Read The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. Read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. These books will give you frameworks for building real masculine strength, not the fake nice guy stuff. And young kings, work on your mind. Meditate, journal, go to therapy if you need it. There's no shame in getting help understanding yourself better. The strongest men are the ones who do the inner work. Here's something powerful. The fact that you've been a nice guy means you probably have some incredible qualities. You're probably empathetic, probably aware of other people's feelings, probably capable of deep care and consideration. Those aren't weaknesses, young kings. Those are superpowers when they're used intentionally instead of compulsively. The goal isn't to become cold or selfish. The goal is to become strong and selective, to choose when to be generous instead of defaulting to it out of fear, to give from a place of abundance instead of depletion, to care about people because you genuinely want to, not because you need them to like you. Your sensitivity, that can become emotional intelligence. Your desire to help, that can become powerful leadership. Your ability to read a room, that can become strategic social skills. But only when you stop using these things to people please and start using them to build something meaningful. Think about it like martial arts. You don't learn to fight by never getting hit. You don't build strength by avoiding resistance. You take the very thing that could hurt you and you transform it into your greatest advantage. So here's my challenge to you, young kings. For the next week, practice being honest instead of nice. When someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, say no. When someone says something you disagree with, respectfully share your actual opinion. When you want something, ask for it directly instead of hinting around hoping someone notices. It's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to worry that people won't like you anymore. But here's what you'll discover. The people who matter will respect you more. And the people who don't, they were never your people anyway. You were not put on this earth to make everyone comfortable. You were put here to build something meaningful, to discover who you really are, to leave a mark that matters. And you can't do any of that while you're busy performing for an audience that will forget you the moment you stop being useful. Young kings, being genuinely good is one of the most powerful things a man can be. Being kind, caring, compassionate, and thoughtful, when it comes from a place of strength and choice, that's legendary. But being a nice guy, that's a trap. It's a prison where you're both the guard and the prisoner. And every day you stay in that prison is a day you're not becoming who you're actually capable of being. You deserve better than that. You deserve relationships where people love the real you. You deserve a career that lights you up. You deserve to wake up every morning knowing exactly who you are and being proud of that person. So stop shrinking. Stop performing. Stop waiting for permission to take up space in this world. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to be respected by the right people. And, most importantly, to respect yourself. The world doesn't need more nice guys. The world needs more men who know who they are, what they stand for, and where they're going. Be that man, young king. The future you're dreaming about, it starts the moment you stop apologizing for existing and start owning who you actually are. Now go build your empire. Peace. If this spoke to your heart, don't forget to subscribe. We're building something real here, a space to keep your mind sharp and your soul grounded. Don't forget, your future self is watching. Make him proud. Let's keep having these conversations. And let's keep talking about us, too.